Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy, Sports and Fitness Rants? I'm back, guys. Click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. What's up, y'all? Welcome back, guys. Welcome back, man. Got another great video for you guys today, as usual, man. You guys know the deal on this channel. So about setting the record straight, stopping the lies, stopping the narratives. And in this video, I want to talk about how the New York Knicks need to get that Madison Square Garden home court advantage going again, man. Because the New York Knicks don't have a home court advantage, man. And the New York Knicks used to have a home court advantage. Madison Square Garden used to be a place that, visiting teams didn't want to come in and play. Like I've said before, unless you're Reggie Miller or Michael Jordan, those guys always seem to put in a show at Madison Square Garden because they got up for that atmosphere. But the New York Knicks used to have a home court advantage, man. And this season, the postseason, I've mentioned this in a couple of the videos that I did. The New York Knicks don't have home court advantage like they used to do in the 90s that I remember. And the New York Knicks this postseason, they lost 5 games at home this season, guys, in the playoffs. I believe they played 9 home games in the playoffs this year, and they only won 4 of them out of the 9. They lost 5 home games, guys. All right? And we're going to talk about it in this video because the Knicks in the early 90s, from 92, 93, and 94, they only lost 4 games on their home court in those 3 seasons alone, guys. So the Knicks lost more home court games in one postseason run than the Knicks did in 3 years in the early 90s, guys. And we're going to talk about it in this video. And I want to thank you guys, everyone across the world, excuse me, guys, everyone across the states been supporting my channel. Once again, you guys know I am truly, truly humbled, man. Much respect to all you guys out there that come through with the donations and the comments, all of that stuff, guys. It really means a lot for real, man. And you guys know what to do. Turn the volume all the way up. Hit that play button. Remember, these videos are for educational purposes. And let's roll. So, yes, guys, give me for a second. So, I wanted to talk about the New York Knicks and their lack of home court advantage in this video. Now, like I was saying in the intro, the New York Knicks played 9 home games this postseason. They had home court advantage in 2 of the rounds that they played. Against the Indiana Pacers and against the Detroit Pistons. They did not have home court advantage against the Boston Celtics. And during this postseason run, which was an excellent postseason run for the New York Knicks, great for the New York Knicks, man. No doubt about it. But the New York Knicks, they left something on the court. They left it a little bit on the court, guys. And when I'm saying this, it's because of the home court record for the New York Knicks. Now, if you think about the New York Knicks last season, remember, they were winning... it was 2 games, 2 games and nothing on the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference second round last year. And what happened? The Knicks would lose the next 2 games in Indiana, then they would win the next game in New York, then they would lose the next game in Indiana, which set up a game 7 in New York, guys. Knicks had home court advantage, and they blew it. They got blown out by the Indiana Pacers in Madison Square Garden, guys. And if you guys remember correctly, this was part of the reason why I said coming into this series, I wouldn't doubt or I wouldn't be surprised if the home team won every single game, because that's essentially what happened last year, except for the Knicks in Game 7 did not win in Madison Square Garden. So I said this season, I can see the Knicks and Pacers having a series where the home team wins every single game, and I was picking the Knicks in 7 because the Knicks had home court advantage. And I thought Jalen Brunson would have been the best player in the series. Jalen Brunson was excellent, but so was Tyrese Halliburton, and a lot of the other guys for the Indiana Pacers were more consistent than some of the other supporting cast on the New York Knicks. But once again, it came down to the Knicks not being able to win games at home. Not being able to win games at home. Remember, first game against Indiana in Madison Square Garden, had a double-digit lead, but like 2 minutes ago, they blew it. This is the New York Knicks, guys, and that was not the New York Knicks of the 90s. So like I said in the intro, I went back and I looked into this, because I remembered the Knicks were formidable at home, guys, in the early to mid-90s, man. They were tough to beat. Madison Square Garden was a legit home court advantage. I told you guys about the 1993 Knicks. That might be their best home record of the franchise history. I'm not sure about that. But they were excellent at home that season. I believe they only lost like 3 games at home that year. And from the regular season into the postseason, I told you at one point the Knicks had won like 25, 27 games in a row at Madison Square Garden, guys. They went on a streak. The only team that ended up beating them, guys, was the Chicago Bulls led by Michael Jordan. It took a great Bulls team going on a 3-peat to beat the New York Knicks at home. That's how great the team had to be. That's who they had to go against, a Michael Jordan-led team. That was the only team that could beat the Knicks at home that season in '93, guys. They were unbeatable in Madison Square Garden. So, like I told you guys, if you look at the Knicks just this season, guys, they lost 5 home games just alone this season, guys. They lost what? Excuse me, 2 games, I believe, to the Pistons in Madison Square Garden. They lost a game to the, I think they lost 2 games to the Indiana Pacers in Madison Square Garden. And they lost a game to the Boston Celtics in Madison Square Garden. So, of the 9 games that they played there, they lost 5 of them. So they had a losing record at home in the postseason this year, guys. That's terrible. And I told you, if you take 1992, 1993, and 1994, you add all those postseason runs up together, guys, the Knicks only had 4 home court losses and 3 separate postseason runs combined. So they had more home court losses in 1 playoff run than they did in 3 playoff runs in the early 90s, guys. And I want you guys to think about the teams that actually beat them. So like I just mentioned, guys, in 1993, the New York Knicks lost 1 home court game in the playoffs, guys. And that 1 game came to the Chicago Bulls, guys. The 3-peat Bulls. That was the great team that had to beat them. So that was 1 home court loss, right? I told you they had 4. Another home court loss they had, 1992. Once again, the Chicago Bulls in 92 beat the Knicks in Madison Square Garden. So once again, you're talking about a dynasty it took to beat the Knicks in Madison Square Garden. Their 3rd loss came against the 1992 Detroit Pistons in the first round. Remember, I said the Knicks used to have a rivalry with the Pistons in the late 80s into the early 90s. The Pistons, not only were they knocking the Bulls out consecutive seasons, but they were knocking out the New York Knicks also in consecutive seasons some of those years. So they had a small, light rivalry, the Pistons and the Knicks, not like the Pistons and the Bulls, but it was there nonetheless. And in 1992, that was the first year the Knicks actually beat the Pistons in the playoffs in a 5-game first-round series. And the Knicks beat the Detroit Pistons ended up beating the Knicks in one of those games in Madison Square Garden. Once again, this was the 1992 Detroit Pistons. Isaiah Thomas, Dennis Rodman, Joe Dumars. These guys were still there. They were still a very good team. I believe that was a 4 seed versus a 5 seed that season. And their 4th home loss during those 3 seasons came in the NBA Finals in 1994, guys, against the Houston Rockets led by Hakeem Olajuwon. So these are the teams and the players it took to beat the Knicks in Madison Square Garden, guys, during those 3 runs. These are legendary teams led by legendary players, all right? Maybe not so the Pistons, but the Bulls and the Rockets were. So when you think about that alone, that's very impressive, guys, that the Knicks only lost 4 games at home in 3 seasons. Meanwhile, just this season alone, they lost 5 games at home in the playoffs. That's how bad the Knicks were, how inconsistent the Knicks have been, guys. And I pointed that out. If you look at the Knicks regular season home record and you look at the Knicks regular season road record, it's almost identical, guys. And that's good for your road, but that's not good at home. You don't want to be the same on the road as you are at home. Like I said, you want to be formidable at home. Right? You want to be almost unbeatable at home. Have that home court advantage. And on the road, you want to have above 500 record. But the Knicks were not like that in this postseason, guys. And that's the reason why they ended up losing to the Indiana Pacers. Because they're not locking up these wins at home. Like I said, a 14-point lead in Madison Square Garden. In game 1, you blow that. I don't think the 90s Knicks blow a 14-point lead with 2 minutes to go, at that time, with the way that they played defense, and like I said, how just much of a quality team that they were, right? Just everyone on the same page, man. And like I said, they were more well-coached, led by Pat Riley during these seasons, man. So when we talk about that and Jeff Van Gundy, Tom Thibodeau's a good coach, but he's not on the level of a Jeff Van Gundy or a Pat Riley. And I think we all know that. So as you guys can see, man, this is part of the problem for the Knicks. The New York Knicks need to get back to being a formidable home team. Madison Square Garden should be a home court advantage. Teams should not want to come in there to Madison Square Garden, right? There should be an atmosphere there that teams, fear the crowd going crazy. And the Knicks, using the crowd to fuel them. Because that's what the Knicks in the 90s did. They used the crowd to fuel them on the defensive end, right? They were a tough, hard-nosed team. That's the Knicks in the 90s, guys. These are the facts, man. The New York Knicks were a good team. They had a good season, man. Not great. And the New York Knicks fans over-celebrated like I said they were. They were jumping on climbing on cars and climbing on buildings and climbing on, street signs. I mean, doing all this nonsense, guys, when the Knicks were down 3-2. When the Knicks have not been formidable in Madison Square Garden this season. But Knicks fans out there going crazy, man. And I told you, they look like a bunch of fools doing that. So we'll see what happens next year. But Knicks need to get back to being tough and formidable at Madison Square Garden. You guys know the deal, man. I'll catch you guys on the next one.